This is gold. So I think a lot of people that are watching this, Piers, they're in that position right now. They're people that write 250, 260, 270. And what you're saying is you make a decision. You totally transform yourself in terms of training, and that is that you bulletproof yourself to be a top agent.
Absolutely.
You don't overanalyze and underact. You basically said, I'm a blank canvas. Give me the training. I'm not going to judge it. I'm doing it.
100%.
Hi everyone, it's Panos here. I've got with me a guy I've known for a really long time, Piers van Hamburg. How are you, Piers?
That's right, back in the Rain and Horn days.
Yes, absolutely. So that's going back about 15 years?
Mate, absolutely, before the days of internet.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not.
So Piers, special guy here, $2 million rider for the financial year that's gone by, 73 transactions.
Correct.
Just for our viewers, you're the director of which offices?
So I've got 4 McGrath offices, which is McGrath and Neutral Bay, Mosman, Northbridge, and we've just opened Chatswood, which is exciting.
How old are you?
I'm just 42.
You're doing well.
I had to think about that, didn't I?
Yeah,
42.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Like I remember, so when I knew you, you would have been like mid-20s.
Yeah, 25, started at Rain and Horn. Actually came from News Limited prior to that, so...
really?
A newspapers and advertising guy.
Here in this building?
No, Cumberland newspapers.
Cumberland?
So yeah, locals. So I went from local papers straight into real estate.
Okay, well, I had my staff watching this because my staff see these success stories and they leave.
Absolutely, yes.
So, Piers, let me just ask, you've got to be happy the way life's panned out for you.
Life couldn't be better, yeah.
I mean...
Great career, beautiful wife, 3 children, just had another one 3 weeks ago. A great business, happy, healthy, lots of holidays.
Okay. One of the things I want to talk to you about is, you said to me about 10 years ago is when it all started to happen. So you've been in real estate for how many years all up?
I've been in for about 8 years.
So you've been up 18 years in total?
Correct, yeah.
And the first 8 years was...
8 years, always in Neutral Bay, but working for some other agencies in the area.
And you weren't you weren't very successful?
No, I've been 8 years in the business and I was doing okay, but not great. To give you an idea, so 10 years ago, my best year in real estate, I'd written about $250,000 a year, which, back 10 years ago wasn't bad money, but for me, it wasn't really enough to justify working on the weekends. And I kind of got to a decision whether I was going to stay in the industry or really go to the next level on it. And I really sort of made that, that light bulb moment that I really wanted to give it a red hot crack.
Okay, and what happened? You went... That following year, what did you write?
Yeah, so look, I started with McGrath's in February 2004, so it's gone 10 years ago. I made the decision that I was going to retrain myself. I was going to do everything that McGrath's told me to do. Back then I was a single guy, no wife and kids, so I was in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, out at 8 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. And I just gave it my 110% and came out. Actually, they asked me also to hire an assistant, did that. Also in the, really in that first kind of, in the first week of starting, and it all paid off, writing sort of $700,000 in my first year. So I nearly tripled what I was doing in my last agency in a year.
Piers, that's gold, because I actually think there's a point in someone's life where they turn around and say, I'm not prepared to tolerate ordinary anymore. I'm not prepared to pay the price of working the 6 days, getting treated the way I get treated at open houses.
It's a tough job not to do really well at, that's my view.
Yeah, and you had the courage to go off when you're only writing 280, which means that you're making not a lot of money to pay someone.
I had 10 grand in the bank at the time.
Right.
I'd put my neck out there, I'd put an assistant on, I put a really good assistant on, 45 grand a year, which is probably like 70 or 80 now, so she was a high quality assistant. And I also spent about $25,000 on personally marketing myself in that first year. Now, what did I do? I spent that predominantly on press ads in the Mosman Daily, or those profile ads. And I also sponsored the Crystal Car Wash at Mosman exclusively myself, which I think was about 12 grand a year at the time.
Okay, so I know what press ads were, branding ads on.
Yes, yeah, correct.
What was the Crystal Car Wash sponsorship look like? You gave Crystal money?
Yeah, look, my face was on all the buzzers down there. I had point of sale down there. I could give vouchers to clients, like market appraisal. I give them a gift for a wash down at the Crystal Car Wash. And look, a lot of the people in Mosman and that area have nice cars. They come and get the car wash. They read the McGrath magazine. and they'd sort of, I guess, see my profile associated with that. So it was a very good top of mind marketing.
Okay, so let's recap, because this is gold. So I think a lot of people that are watching this, Piers, they're in that position right now. They're people that write 250, 260, 270, and what you're saying is you make a decision, you totally transform yourself in terms of training, and that is that you bulletproof yourself to be a top agent.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't overanalyze and underact. You basically said, I'm a blank canvas. Give me the training. I'm not going to judge it. I'm doing it.
100%.
You put your hand in your pocket when you don't have a lot of money, and you put on an assistant at 50 grand, which is essentially making, a third of what you were probably taking home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the same figures, if I wrote the same figures, I'd go broke. I couldn't do it. I literally had to grow to keep up with my investment ahead of the growth.
And you've invested 25 grand in personal marketing, non-VPA, and you wrote 700. What happened the next year?
Well, I think, look, it's really hard. The hardest thing is to go from 250 to 700. To go from 700 to about 1.1, which was my next year, was quite easy. I think that once you go over a certain level, I think around that sort of 700 to 800, you almost get to a tipping point where you get momentum, and it's much easier. So it gets easier as time goes on when you start to get momentum in the marketplace and become essentially an attraction agent.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're saying to go from 250 to 700 is hard work.
Tough, yeah.
To go from 700 to a million is easier.
Much easier. And then to go from 1.2 to 2, where I am now, totally different thing. That then becomes more about people management, organisation, ideal weeks, handling the volume more than anything. Okay,
so what does your team look like now, Piers?
Yes, look, I've got 2 agents working under me. So I've got Michael Rava, who is really an agent within himself. Now he goes out and lists and sells properties himself. I give him quite a few properties to sell. Generally the stuff under about $800,000, I'll give it to Mike to run with it. When I give him a listing, I give him one. I expect him to list a couple off the back of that.
Right.
Just through momentum in the marketplace.
Right.
Then I've got Jackie, who also works next to me almost like as a co-agent.
Right.
Helping with buy callbacks, open houses, prospecting, all that sort of stuff. And then we've got an admin assistant.
Does the admin assistant support all 3?
She does, she does marketing, proposals, all that back end stuff. And she actually works Monday to Friday, so she's actually not out doing opens.
Right.
Rarely.
So you see this as being your business unit?
Yes.
Okay. And what you're saying is your life now is about coordination, managing people.
Correct, yeah.
And
growing those around me, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you like that role?
I do. I've learned to like it. I guess it's a skill set that I've had to learn as my business has developed. And I sort of have dual roles because A, I'm an agent, but B, I'm a working agent, but I'm also one of the key owners of the agency. So, I've got to write some good figures, lead by example.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm also somewhat responsible for 4 offices.
Okay. A couple of things that are coming to my mind.
Yeah.
From what you know in real estate, what are the key important success principles that you see in top agents?
Sounds very basic, but don't move areas. Like I walk down Neutral Bay and I could honestly say I know every second person.
Okay.
So just being there for 17 years. Don't ever move areas. It's silly, it's like starting again. My mother always taught me, treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. And it sounds really basic, but I treat people really well. It's really important that I want about 98% of the people that deal with me to go away thinking, Piers was great to deal with and we'll use him again.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that 1 or 2 in 100 that you can't keep everyone happy all the time. But if you really go into it and you're honest with people and you're genuine and you have their best interest at heart, I think if you come from that philosophy, the money will follow afterwards.
Okay, so what you're saying is stick to your core area, get known, become a brand in that area. The experience that you want to give people is exactly the way you want to feel in the process, which come from your mum. Other things that you notice good agents?
Just work hard. Like it is honestly.
Do you work hard?
Look, I don't work as hard as I used to. I think as time has gone on, well, I've got the people around me. I still work hard,
Like when an agent's going from 250 to 700,
yeah,
they've got to be prepared to put in the hours.
Mate, absolutely. 6 days a week, in early and out late. And like I see, it's funny. I drove down Carrabba Road last week at 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and I saw one of my young guys that was riding about 300 walking into a house at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and I'm taking my kids to Luna Park. So I sort of smiled, thinking, great to see him out there doing it. But that's the sort of things that you got to do when you're that ramp up mode.
Yeah.
Will you get me out on a Sunday now? Absolutely not.
Right.
Maybe a $20 million house or some exceptional circumstances. I think that I have to be able to manage the business because I've got a family, and I generally don't take calls on Sundays because it's my day of peace.
Okay. Piers.
Yeah.
Prospecting to me is a funny word because one person means it's door knocking, to another person it means, you just got good ads in the paper because that's prospecting 24/7.
Yeah.
What's prospecting mean to you?
Well, look, I think every agent's got a prospect. Otherwise, if you don't want to do it, it's probably not the industry for you.
Right.
For me, it's prospecting all the time. I very rarely listen to the radio in my car. I'm on the phone the whole time. So even though I'm not on the phone, I'm just punching out phone calls. I think of ring that person or do that sort of thing. So look, lots of calls. My prospecting these days is a little bit different to what it was sort of 10 years ago.
Right.
These days it's talking to past clients.
Right.
We still ring around listings when we list things, so in the street.
Are you organised?
I've become a lot better organised. I'm not organised by nature.
Right.
I've got very organised people around me,
right.
and I've forced myself to become. So the answer is yes, but I haven't always been.
Right. So you think that you can get organised by having people around?
100%. And I think that there is a point where there's only so many sales you can do unless you are organised. You'll just get to a point where you just stress out.
Right. So what you're saying is prospecting now is more warm, talking to people that you've dealt with. Prospecting in the early stages, you were talking to strangers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Door knocker?
Never door knocked.
Right.
No, I've always been a phone man. Always ran open houses magnificently. Picked up heaps of work out of
What's a magnificent open house to you, Piers?
Just making people feel special, having a great point of sale on display, 2 people at opens, great follow-up, good buyer servicing.
Yeah.
More than anything. Yeah.
Listing presentations, when you rock up there now, and because you've been in the same area for a long time,
yeah,
they must treat you better.
They do. Yeah. Yeah.
You walk in there, they still get 2 or 3 other appraisals, you think?
Mostly. I'd say probably a third of my listings are uncontested though.
A third are uncontested?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find the ones that are uncontested, fee is easier to discuss with them?
Yes and no.
Right.
Sometimes when you're actually that strong with a client, they go, "Oh, come on, Piers, look, you've bought and sold 4 places for us, and I referred you to the guy down the road. Give me a deal, So sometimes you end up giving somebody a cheaper fee because you like them so much.
Yeah.
So
you've done that?
Yeah, I have at times. Yeah. I mean, you've got to be commercial about it. If one of your best supporters sells the house, you want to look after him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you the question of, at a listing presentation, up against 2 or 3 agents, when you're competing, what are some of the tips you can give the audience that can improve your probability of getting picked?
I think ask plenty of questions. So I'm a very question-based listing presentation.
Give me 3 or 4 questions that seem to come up all the time.
Look, I always want to uncover if they've sold in the past, what that experience was like. If there was an issue, I want to know about it. So I guess it's about understanding what they want to talk about.
Right.
Because some guys want to talk about marketing, other people are analytical, and all they want to do is discuss comp. So
do you try and sign up the listing and the marketing in the one presentation?
Look, I'm always prepared. If it's possible, I will.
Right.
But generally, I'm a two person. Yeah, okay. I like to go and have a look at the property, and come back and do a presentation.
You go on your own?
Mainly, I'll take somebody with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you a hard closer?
I know the close, but I do it in a nice way.
Right.
Generally, I'm normally filling in the agency agreement while we're still talking about it. We just kind of sail right through. Okay. Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely.
The right time, I just know when it's all going in the right direction. I start filling out things, and generally I pick it. When to do that, and I've never kind of said, "Hang on, here's what are you doing?"
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of lots of assumptive closes along the way, so it's not a massive close at the end.
Is that something that's learned, Piers, or is that something that you think you've got an innate ability to read the play?
I reckon it's a combination of both. I think I've always been a real people person, and I understand and I can read people pretty well. Like I can go into a listing and know whether I've got it or don't have it when I walk out the door. If they haven't made the decision, you just know.
Okay.
I can read it so well.
It might be hard for you to articulate it because sometimes intuition is hard to explain.
Intuition, I've got fantastic intuition. I think that's probably what's 18 years of dealing with lots of people. Right. So I think predominantly learned, but it does help to be a good communicator and a real people person to start off with.
Staying pumped and energized.
Yeah.
Any tips? Because a long time you've been in it.
Yeah, look, I mean, that is the thing, and that's probably one of my biggest challenges, sustainability. And it's funny, I'm working on my business plan for next year, and I'm actually not writing myself higher figures than this year, because it's about being sustainable. I've got 4 holidays booked in the next 12 months, so I know exactly when I'm going, and I can plan my year around those holidays. So always book your holidays in advance, because I know that if I've got a holiday coming up in 6 weeks' time, I don't mind going a bit hard because I've got a week off, if that makes sense.
Right, so Piers, you put the holidays, you book the holidays.
It's the first thing I do on the business plan. First thing.
Right, and generally are they 2 weeks?
Oh, look, they're usually a week to 8 days, 3 of those, and then 3 weeks off at the end of the year, around Christmas.
Okay.
So it's about 6-7 weeks total.
So what you're saying is having those in there keeps you inspired?
Yeah, look, it keeps me inspired. I use it to refresh myself, and I think that a mate of mine who's a bit of a mentor, he always says, your kids always remember the holidays. So I do it for my kids as well, because I love going away with the family,
That's important to you, work-life balance?
Yeah, my kids are everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you're achieving work-life balance?
Yeah, I think I'm getting better, definitely.
Yeah? Time do you go home now?
Oh, look, I'm very rarely I'm home. I'm always home by 6.
Right.
Yeah, if I do my evening appointments, I'll generally back them up on one night. Right. So I'm pretty much home always before 6. I'm going into the office now at lunchtime on Mondays. Yeah, just a bit of a chill out.
You get a day off during the week? No.
I don't. Look, I use sort of Mondays lunchtime. I'll come in, and then I'll usually duck off Friday afternoon.
Okay. What would Piers say to Piers 18 years ago?
Yeah.
What advice?
I think firstly you got to know what you want to do with your life. So you have to know what your big picture looks like. Like I knew I wanted to have a family. I knew I wanted to have as many kids as possible. I've got 3. It's actually enough, but anyway. And I knew I wanted to have a really good life, and I knew what that looked like. So I think if you know why you're doing it, then you don't mind sort of getting in there and doing the hard work. It's not easy, otherwise everyone would do it. And I think it's just about setting a goal, getting in there, working really, really hard, and more than anything, believing in yourself, which has been a big thing. Dr. Fred's helped me along the way on that a little bit, because I, like everyone, had mooring lines. Yeah. And
define a mooring line, because a lot of people might not know what it is.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's funny actually. As I've actually as I've come across a lot more money with the success, I actually didn't really know how to handle it. Really, I kind of never saw myself as being a wealthy sort of person. So Dr. Fred's kind of helped me to manage that a little bit. Right. Yeah. It sounds weird, but
no. In many ways, what you're saying is
handling your success.
It's like a footy player that never had a lot of money. And
I mean, I didn't grow up poor or anything, but it's been a bit of a change. I didn't think that I would do as well as I have in some ways.
Okay, so on self-belief, is that happen naturally, or you've got to work?
You got to work on it.
Yeah,
I think you got to work on everything all the time. And look, even when you get to the level that I'm at, you got to keep reinventing yourself all the time. If I don't reinvent myself, you think it's so competitive out there.
It's harder now, isn't it?
It is harder. The agents are. It's more competitive. The consumer has a higher expectation of what they want in an agent. And it's just tougher, and we're just so accessible now. I've got clients, if you don't return back their call in 2 hours, they think that their agent's gone missing.
So they want things fast.
They do, yeah. It's different.
Okay, Piers, this has been sensational. I think this is a really good metaphor or case story that in reality, there wasn't a secret. You basically worked hard, took risks, putting on a PA, made a decision that you're either going to be great or you're going to be out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the other tipping point for me was, myself and Dean and David took a massive risk when we bought our business we had about 10 staff, and it wasn't really making money back sort of 7 or 8 years ago. And look at it now, it's 4 offices, 100 staff, 1,500 properties under management, and I think this year we'll do about 1,000 sales. So, and we're the market leader. So it's a good story.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, like I remember, you so much younger, just thinking about whether I'll make 2 or 3 listings for the month.
Yeah.
And now to look that you're a director of, those operations and still writing $2 million in your unit.
Yeah.
You're making good money and you're trying to do...
Mate, lucky, you obviously know Dean Mackey. I'm lucky to have a really smart guy behind not selling. So we've got clear roles. I'm out there selling, leading by example. And Dino's running and growing the business and doing a great job of it.
Yeah, well, there's a saying, work your strengths, outsource your weaknesses, and I think you've surrounded yourself with good people all around you.
Yeah.
Piers, thank you so much for coming in.
Here's the reality, is that what's the worst that can happen? They say no, they say I'm busy, they tell you to go away. Most people who prospect really religiously and consistently don't come into my office and say, I've had all this abuse today. That's not what they focus on. They focus on because they don't get it. It doesn't exist.
You mentioned a word before we started, detachment, and I can't help but I'm thinking about that word there, that good people get detached from, negativity and
absolutely.
knockbacks.